Vic Koenigsberg, longtime Mesa City resident, and what some consider to be an authority on the missing Jody Huisentruit, the case. Vic, what do you know? You were just telling me a minute ago you spoke with somebody. Who'd you speak with?
Well, I went down to this Christian Fellowship Church and talked to Shane Philpott down there. His sister's Maria Ole, her sister-in-law.
Correct.
And she's claiming the police department is involved in a cover-up or something of the sort involving that case.
Right.
And I got to talking to him about it. He said, yeah, they've tried to take it to the media, and the media won't do anything with it. And I said, I had the same problem. And I've gone down and talked to the police department, and talked to Ron Van Oord about it, and tried going over all of this stuff with him, and he just came up with one lame excuse after another.
Really?
As to why not to do anything with it. And finally, after I hit him with so much stuff that added up on it, he just blatantly told me, if this is what it is, there isn't anything we can do with it. It's way too deep for us. Told him, well, you're never going to solve the thing. And
yeah,
that was way back in February of '97.
Well, because you had alleged about, when we had talked some months ago, that Saddam Hussein was somehow involved, right, with the disappearance of Jody?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you had alleged
the Jody Huisentruit abduction is a big link in a long, elaborate chain of events that he used to get the UN weapons inspection program ended.
What do you know about Jody Huisentruit? Any developments since we spoke, you know, some months ago? You come up with anything, heard anything?
Well, this is how Jody gets involved in it. When it was found out that Saddam was getting set up for this thing, it gets back to Baghdad, gets to Saddam. He takes these two guys hostage over there.
Right.
One of them was
Americans.
one of them's from New Hampton.
Right.
Well, Saddam immediately lets the Clinton administration know what he wants for their release.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Saddam wants the UN weapons inspection program ended. But they couldn't get that done before the election. Mm-hmm. And Clinton doesn't want these guys being hung around his neck by the Republicans.
Sure.
Making him a one-term president, like Carter was made a one-term president when the Iranian hostage situation was going on. So Saddam lets Clinton know how he can get these guys released before the election.
Sure.
Clinton won't go along with it, shoves it down onto the Barloons. Well, evidently Mrs.
William Barloon was the guy from Hampton, correct?
Yeah, William Barloon was the one that was captured along with David Dillon.
Right, they were contractors working in Iraq in, what was it, the 90s then?
They were working in Kuwait.
Way back in the 90s, right.
Yeah, on some avionics deal, right. I don't know just what it was.
Right.
And
so Saddam says you can have William Barloon back as a trade.
Well, evidently the Clinton administration must have told Mrs. Barloon to get in contact with the UN ambassador from Iraq. See if she could find out what Saddam wanted and they could make a deal with him. So evidently she found out and she started making tapes of local TV news anchors. Then she requests to go to Baghdad to see Saddam. He invites her over there. Evidently he reviews all these tapes and he likes what he saw in Jody. She'll be the one.
What was it about Jody that got the attention of Saddam?
I know from what I've read about Saddam that he's got a preference for these stylish blondes. Saw a picture of him seated with his first wife with her bleached blonde hair, and his second wife was described as a stylish Baghdad socialite.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a photo of Jody up next to his first wife, and it looks like they could have been sisters.
Crazy.
So he's got a preference for that kind of...
Yeah. Well, tell me this, Vic. who all has interviewed you about this? What have you been to the Mesa City Police, the state police, FBI? Who have you talked to about this?
Well, let's see. The second morning after the abduction, I came into the key apartment. It's 3 a.m. that morning. I was putting my truck away, and the first morning after the abduction, they were staked out at the key apartments, looking for people coming by about that time of the morning.
Yeah.
And he comes down the driveway and stops me and wants to know if I know anything about the abduction.
Sure.
Well, I didn't know what the heck he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was so tired, I just wanted to get to the apartment.
Right. You were a railroad man at the time, correct?
Yeah, we keep all kinds of odd hours. I didn't know what he was talking about, and the next morning I showed up at work, and my boss at work says, "What do you know about the Jody Huizentroot abduction?" And I said, "What? I didn't even know she lived there."
Hmm.
He says, "I lived in the B building, she lived in the C building." But
okay.
And then it started dawning on me what I heard the night before.
Right, you had told us when we had spoken some months ago that you had heard some troubling sounds that previous evening, early morning, I guess it would be.
Yeah, I could have been out there in 15 seconds.
And what prevented you from going out again, Vic?
Well, I thought it was a domestic problem that the people in the apartment above me they'd taken outside because they'd been up stomping around and things were thumping on the floor, and I was thinking to myself, what's going on up there?
Sure.
And I found out later from the apartment house manager it was a couple of rowdy girls she had to kick out eventually. So I heard all the screaming going on out there, but eventually died away, and I didn't hear anything else, so I really didn't think too much more about it. It was the next Friday. The police came out to the shop where I worked, and they had an FBI agent with them, and they re-interviewed me about this situation. But what really got me going on it being a professional pickup was talking to the apartment house manager.
Mm-hmm.
She'd heard some things that were really stunning.
Right.
I didn't hear any vehicles, but evidently as they drug Jody across the parking lot, the A building started blocking the sound, so I couldn't hear anything after I got her so far to the east there.
Okay.
So I didn't hear the vehicles. But the apartment house manager said she got woke up before the abduction, and two men were having a big argument out beside her apartment, and it was punctuated by a loud no. And then she went back to sleep. She was woke up a while later by this loud vehicle start. And she said she heard a loud clang like a jail door cell slamming shut. And then this vehicle jacked around and took off to the south. Threw a red flag in my face is when Saddam released these two guys from prison 3 weeks after Jody disappeared.
Right.
I said, uh-oh. Something's a little fishy here.